Naveed's 48.
All right, guys, we're back.
Yeah. All right.
Are we? Are you sure?
Well, apparently YouTube does not like us streaming Joe Rogan's content.
Yeah.
I know
It's
many people stream other or not play other content on YouTube and they just pause it and go along, but apparently they don't like it or their algorithm doesn't like it. They don't like us in
It's
general.
all good. We got what we
folks,
needed out
it's
of
a
it.
good reminder for you guys to understand Mad Mamluks do not make any money off YouTube. We don't. They demonetized us permanently. It wasn't any copyright strikes or anything like that. It was a wholesale injustice that was done.
Muzzy talk.
Yeah, what they initially tried to give us a reason like, oh, we have invalid clicks or something. This is garbage reasons, like as if we have like some kind of robot there clicking on our on our views. It would be making sense if there's like 10,000 views per, or some ridiculous number per episode, but it's just not. And so help us out on patreon.com/the Mad Mamluks. Yeah.
So the reason why we're walking to them, look, let's just forget about the whole clip now because we got what we needed out of it, right?
Yeah.
And there was a little bit more left, but look, as we talked about him digging himself a deeper hole, number one, he should have stood up for himself as a devout Catholic of talking about marriage not being man-made. That was the opportunity to say, hey, no, this is a religious institution, right? He has to, a person of religion against somebody who's agnostic or atheist has to be in a position of saying, no, actually, we don't have anything to prove to you. You have to prove something to us.
Yeah.
And along that vein, marriage is not a man-made institution that everyone just happens to follow. It's a religious obligation. It's a religious institution.
But Joe will say, why is it bothering you?
Yeah.
Well, how is it bothering you?
Of course he will.
Well, if they're calling themselves married, if two men or two women are marrying themselves, and
how does that affect you?
why
in
is
your
it
marriage?
bothering you so much?
Yeah.
It's completely separate from what you're doing.
Yeah.
So I think what the problem is that he didn't state his objective morality. Like that's the real issue, right? Everything is subjective to them.
Yeah.
So you have to cut whether the person agrees or not. In order for them to understand your position, you have to first establish that, hey, look, you may not agree, but for me, morality is objective.
Yeah.
And so anything that violates that morality, from my paradigm, is something bad. So regardless of whether you see the harm or you don't see the harm, is irrelevant.
Yeah.
Right? Because we trust the wisdom that is greater than ours.
Yeah.
Right? And now you may not agree with that. But if you're asking me why I don't support it, why I'm vocal against it, it's because of that. It's not because about love or having children or doing this or fulfilling.
Those are all bonuses.
That's all those are all possible reasons, right?
Yeah.
They're all maybe adders or padders,
Bonuses,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, bonuses. But it's not the main argument. It comes down to the same thing that we say all the time. When we say something like, for example, pork is haram. I don't go tell a guy pork is haram because, if you don't cook it exactly 180 degrees, you get tapeworms. No, it's haram because Allah says it's haram.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and the same thing with this. It's haram to be a sodomite. Right?
No. Not only that. Look, he's thinking from a very pragmatic view of reasoning, and reasoning is cool, and we invite reasoning as Muslims, but our reasoning stops when we have a commandment from Allah. We can find other wisdoms of why Allah made something halal or haram at times.
Can I ask something?
Yeah.
Homosexuality is haram.
Yeah.
Did it say that the marriage is haram? Is it like specifically says this is double haram?
Well,
You're already doing the haram. You're already there.
No, you're right. But what I'm saying is this. What I'm saying is that Joe Rogan is going, and I'll come to that because this follows along with it. Joe Rogan is saying, and he's giving lots of good reasons, quote unquote, good reasons of why he should not be mad because of two homosexuals being married of what he calls marriage.
Okay.
Right? Why? Because it's not affecting you. Us as Muslims, whether it affects us or benefits us, that doesn't matter. Look what Allah says about, al-khamr wal-maisir, right? Gambling and drinking. فيها منافع للناس, that there's benefit for it in people. Allah is telling us there's benefit in alcohol. There's benefit. But Allah made it haram, right? So just because we see benefit in something, the objective truth is that we stick to it. So where Matt Walsh failed in two parts is he didn't state his objective truth. And number two, he tried to reason out of his paradigm of objective truth, which fell into many mistakes, made himself look really weak, made himself look like a person who's not able to debate his points that he's. So what people are going to take from this, right, is that people of religion, they know how to make good movies and complain about things, but if you really challenge them, if you have a good, smart atheist, challenge them, they're not able to hold their weight, right? But as Muslims, again, it doesn't matter for us what people find as benefit and wherever they live, what they find benefit. For us, it's just being very brave and saying, look, this is what Allah says. This is what Rasulullah says. And, you know,
what's the point?
What do you mean?
Like, what are we going to do? Are we going to physically stop them?
No, we're not going to physically stop them.
We're just going to say it.
Yeah, we're just going to say it.
What difference will that make?
No. The whole issue is about gay marriage. Like, why is it something that is an issue for you?
Why is it an issue for us? I mean, look, we're not supposed to drink, right? You know how many Muslims drink?
Yeah.
Right? We're not supposed to fornicate. You know how many Muslims fornicate? So if gay people want to do marriage, and you know, I'll take it a step further. If nikah was happening in the gay community, which it does, I know it does, we could stand up and say, you know what, guys, it's haram. But there's nothing else we can do about it.
Yeah. No, the reason why we're talking about this is for Muslims, when they get into arguments with people, they try to bring up all these natural causes, and they don't just, they're afraid to talk about Allah.
It's simple.
So that's the reason why we're talking about that. That's the reason. But you bring up a very valid point, but we can't be afraid to talk about because Allah says so.
I think it's the point that Amr is making is that you have to be principled. I mean, this is why you believe it's haram.
Yeah.
It's not we don't say, like, for example, you know, hijab was made for because there were highway bandits that used to molest women, and no, it's there because Allah said it's a commandment. It's there, right?
Yeah.
Now these are possible benefits that someone may not be molested, right? But then the problem with making these arguments is they're going to say, well, look, there are women who wear hijab, and
of course, and Muslim countries are very, very much
right. And in a particular argument to marriage, there are people who do marriage the right way, and they face abuse, they face all these kinds of things. So what's really the religious benefit of marriage, anyways?
Exactly.
Right? If they use these type of arguments, right? Yeah. And the reality is that when you look at this framework, and I would empathize with Walsh. I'll say, listen, it's a very hard conversation to happen if you're speaking specifically about morality. Because this ties back to a fundamental point where it's really coming into the area of, you know, metaphysics, meaning that what is theology? What is your philosophy? Meaning, how do we have to establish that there's a creator, and then from from this creator comes guidance, right? And that creator has wisdom and the way he wants people to live. Then you come to morality. To explain a position of morality, like, for example, if I'm making da'wah to somebody, I'm not going to go through what I perceive to be the wisdom of the Sharia. Yeah. No, my first thing is going to be about God, right? And so from the get-go, it's a very difficult position to argue from a secular perspective. Yeah. So I see what he's saying in the sense that Shaq is saying, listen, it's a secular world.
Yeah. For that part, I totally get that.
That's where a big thing is, that's a secular marriage thing. I really don't care. If it's not about the nikah, we're not making it a Sharia rule. I don't even believe in the secular marriage. It's just a tax thing, right? I mean, really, they don't really care.
That's the second point I want to bring up. I'm glad you brought that up.
Absolutely no religious, you know, affiliate. I know how Muslims get it with this. There's no affiliation with our deen and the American system of marriage. There's absolutely none. It's just really it's just a piece of paper for tax. But, you know, I don't know what they get out of it. Even the tax.
But even a majority of people that wanted gay marriage, it had to do with taxes. It had nothing to do with them spending their time with. They could do that without a marriage contract.
Yeah. Again, that's subjective, but people want.
They just want that feeling of acceptance from the rest of us. Hey, look, you guys.
They want to. That's the second part to it. That's the normalizing second part to it.
I think the biggest issue is that they want to normalize that what you do, we can do together because love is love.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
You
want to say something?
Sorry. I was going to say there's another way to argue this, even on a secular perspective, just on a level where you're just talking about the actual building blocks of society. You're talking about the core. When you break a society down and you look at the most basic structures of it, there's a family unit,
family values,
you know, and then you talk about that, and you talk about the historical significance about that, and then kind of build your argument around that. But Walsh kind of failed in that respect.
But what if Rogan comes back with that same point where he argued that, well, in traditional marriages, half of them are failing. So what traditional values are you actually speaking of that are protecting?
Yeah. Well, that's only a recent phenomenon too. The failure of the modern marriage is not a problem with the institutions, with the people itself.
Yeah.
And so he's going to argue from a perspective of that's how our society, our modern society is. Whether you like it or you don't like it, that's just it's trending. It's trending that way, right? So what safeguards are you really? I mean, are you going to try to tell people that their marriage should be a certain way now?
Well, whether or not marriages are successful or not, it's still ignoring the reality, the core objective reality, whether you're Christian or secular or anything, that the most basic building blocks of a society are the family unit.
But they're saying they're creating a family.
But they're not. They can't.
Why not?
They can't.
To them,
they can't
think-
have kids.
They adopt. There's so many families nowadays.
Womb renting.
There's so many different
Yeah,
a lot.
Yeah. So again, like through those are like first world like type societies, right? You can't actually do that. You can't do that in any other society around the world.
Some. I mean, I'd say
Very few, like
Europe,
European countries.
Yeah,
Yeah, but
you know, this
to
is
be-
always a dangerous path, right? It's
Yeah.
like the whole Quran and science thing too. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
I feel the same way.
I agree.
I'm like, why do we have to bring science to prove that this deen is worthy? They're doing the same thing.
yeah.
They're taking these stupid topics and then trying to argue. There's nothing to argue
Yeah.
about. You
I
know,
think the
just-
best way to approach from a secular way is not about the institution of marriage type of thing, because they're going to say their ideas are evolving, right?
Yeah.
They always are. And they're not really speaking about the whole world. They're talking about the issue of marriage in America, largely, right? Because Matt Walsh is mainly concerned about America and not foreign countries, right? The idea is this, so. I think the argument, and he mentions the slippery slope argument, but I think it's a valid point to make, meaning that, well, if you allow this based on the premise that you're saying that it's just two people who want to have an active devotion and expression of love to one another and a commitment in the eyes of the public or the law for their own safekeeping or their own moment, in life, then what is to limit incestuous things? Or what is to, for example, what if we can even go, and it's good to take extremes. I know this won't happen, but extremes sometimes help bring things into perspective,
Yeah.
right? What if someone says, you know what, I'm a necrophiliac.
What do you mean? They're already doing that. The pedophiles are already coming out.
Yeah. No,
and
but I'm
saying,
thinking
this is how I feel. What do
For
you
those that
do?
don't know, necrophilia means that you engage with dead
people,
bodies.
yeah.
Okay? And so he meets a girl and he goes, you know what? I'm a necrophiliac. And she goes, okay, well, I love you so much that when I'm gone, I'm gonna give you permission to marry me, my dead corpse, and consummate your marriage. It's just love. It doesn't hurt anybody. It's just two people who are expressing a devotion of love. Do you have a moral argument against that? And I mean, maybe he does, but from his viewpoint, the point that he's making, he has no reason to object it. It's just two people expressing an act of love that want to share this bond of marriage in this life, or maybe in the supernatural life, right? In the whatever it may be, but they want to do this. So why are we to say anything? And how far are we willing to take this?
Yeah.
And also, I mean, they can also make the argument about polygamy too. They can
Right.
say, well, why is it that you like, for example, with Muslim societies, we are allowed to marry up to 4, and in the American society, you're only allowed to marry 2. Well, why is that?
What?
You
Two?
know?
Which
I'm
American
sorry,
society?
you're only allowed to have a man and a woman. You can only have
Yeah.
2 people in that
A couple, yes,
relationship.
yes,
right?
yes.
So,
And it's a great
That would be
point,
5
because nowadays they're talking about how polyamorous relationships should be recognized with benefits, right? Meaning that not as a marriage, but relationships should be recognized in terms of health benefits. They're trying to pass this legislation now with the
Yeah,
Democrats. But why is it okay to recognize tax incentives and spousal benefits and in polyamorous relationships? Everything but marriage, right? I mean, it's like they want you to do everything that married people do without being married. And then the ones that are not valid in marriage, the ones that are most obscure things or crazy things, they want you to call it marriage.
let's ask this: why is society, why are governments, the United States in particular, why do they give tax benefits to married people?
There's really no tax benefits.
No, there are tax
It is.
benefits
Very
when you have
few.
kids.
You get
I mean,
money
we
back.
have kids.
Yeah.
But if
So-
it's just 2 people doing it,
Yeah.
So I think the incentive is that obviously population growth. They want to have people who have children. It's an investment in the future of the country. You have more taxpayers eventually. You have a larger population. You have more people that may serve in the military, et cetera, et cetera.
And
There's
be
an incentive.
consumers.
Yeah, consumers. All part of business, right? The government can then monetize that birth. They say, oh, look, the Federal Reserve, we have an extra person born this year. So now we need to have extra money in our budget for these plans. So we're going to go to the Federal Reserve and get money, right? People don't realize how this works, but there's a whole backstory behind this. this. There are political and financial incentives to incentivizing people to have tax benefits for getting married, because they know eventually, some way, they're going to get that money back, whether it's now or the future.
Hence, countries or certain states will pay you to have children, right?
Yeah, like look what's happening in Japan.
Yeah.
Japan is literally suffering now because they're at a rate where it's like 1.2 baby per, and they need to be at like something like 2.4 in order for them to be able to generate enough tax income, taxes from income to sustain its current infrastructure. And they're struggling now.
Yeah.
So,
but the reason why I brought this up, this is the last time I'm going to bring this up, is why we don't try to logically debate or get in a discourse with people about, well, scientifically this is that way, or, the natural order tells us, because our goal is to bring people to the oneness of Allah. Yeah. If you're arguing about all of these outside things that can be duped and you're digging yourself in a hole, at the end, at best, if you convince somebody, they're like, yeah, I guess Islam is cool, but it's not for me.
Yeah.
Or you can challenge them and their existence and why they exist in the first place. Why are they here? And answer that question for them, which many philosophers have tried. And alhamdulillah, Muslims, we don't have to worry about that. We can go to sleep comfortably because we know that our main goal is, number one, as a human being, is to acknowledge Allah as our creator. Number two, what does he want from us? And number three, show him gratitude. That's it. That's our purpose of life.
You're saying preach Iman, don't preach Islam.
Exactly. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And that's what we want to bring it back to.
No, I agree with that 100%.
Yeah. That's what we want to bring it back to.
That would really just,
Yeah, and if they don't accept, that's what we say.
All these interfaith debates, all these stupid comments, and that would all be gone, dude.
No, that's our goal, though. Our goal is just to give them the message.
And, I'll give you a perfect example. I don't want to, I know people, our guys are listening, but like, even our crews that we have on WhatsApp, the conversation is like, where's God?
Yeah.
Where's all that? I mean, you're talking about all this other stuff, like trivial stuff about, this person did this, that person converted and said this, but where's God? Like, where do you care about God and Islam? That nobody cares about that. It's just about proving a point. Oh, I'm better, or whatever it is.
Do you know what I think that is?
I'm glad. I like that simplicity.
No, but I'll tell you
That's
something.
awesome.
There's a reason for that, though. It's projection. Not that they're doing the same sin, but rather, hey, I'm going to focus on somebody else or something else, so I don't have to be accountable. There's no muhasibah.
You're more accountable.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, if you spend time thinking about yourself, you would trust me. You would not worry about what somebody else is doing.
That's a very good point.
You know what I mean? So in order to not do that, they busy themselves about and to say that, you know what, I'm not as bad as them.
Yeah.
I'm pretty good compared to them.
That's a great point, Mo.
I mean, it's
because it's
people
very uncomfortable to think about your own self.
Yeah. Look what they're doing. They're taking Andrew Tate and they're leaving Islam. Right? He became Muslim. I'm leaving. That's how badly they don't want to reflect on themselves.
So, and finally, I just want to say, like, when you're in a secular society, you're going to have a secular society that is divorced itself from any kind of religion or any kind of context. You're going to have continuous problems related to this with abortion, everything, because they don't have any parameters. There's no boundaries in how they live and
there's
exist.
No God.
Yeah. So they're all basically devouring each other, and that's something that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about in the Quran too, is how they differ among each other. Can't remember the ayah.
They seem to be like they're united, but they actually are divided.
But look, dude, I think what the religious Republicans are trying to, and they're failing miserably, is trying to bring God back into it. They're calling themselves conservatives. They're calling themselves the right, but in reality, they themselves have lost their scope of religion, so they're not able to use that as a backbone to bring the Christian society America once was back, and they're so afraid of losing it because they've already lost it.
But I think it comes back to the main point of insecurity. They're insecure to bring up and say, listen, I believe in God and objective morality.
Exactly.
Right? Now we're trying to use the framework of these glorious founding forefathers who had this, they have more wisdom than God does, and we're going to try to use, like, somehow, I mean, the way that sometimes secular people, especially in America, speak about the Constitution it's like as these founding forefathers had like these almost inspirations about, like, oh my God, had so much foresight into what was going to happen in the future. No, they didn't. They just really were trying to make their life better for themselves. They would do what they had, and the bottom line is they were unhappy with what their religion, right, or their morals from the religion were, and so they wanted to reinvent it and say, we think we know how to tweak this a little bit better. And that is the start. So if you have a problem with the way society is heading now, even as a conservative, you're part of the problem because you think that those founding forefathers had more authority than God.
That's a great
You're
point,
part of
Marty.
the problem. Now you're just reaping the benefit of what that happened. You're just seeing the fallout, and actually that should be indicative of why we don't tweak and alter, and we don't try to justify what God did or what He orders. We simply hear and we obey,
That's it.
because then we fall into this trap. Do you think the founding forefathers would imagine that today we're debating about whether someone could be called a man or a woman, or somebody could get gay people could get married, or do you think they'd be worrying about whether you can have the freedom to open up a shelter where you can get free needles to inject yourself with heroin so it's safer for society? They didn't envision this kind of stuff. They didn't have that kind of foresight. They just wanted to make life better for themselves and how they thought they were. What did they go back to? Their hawa. They took their hawa as their desires as their Lord. And they said, we know better. This is going to be a better society. And ultimately that results from a larger problem, which is their own kingdomship, the monarchies, where they play the role of God and vice regent on earth. And again, they began speaking on behalf and rationalizing what Allah wanted or what He intended for it to happen, what He decreed. And so this problem, so no matter how conservative you want to be, the system you designed and that you cherish and that you've crossed your heart over and you die in wars for, all of that is the very reason it sets the foundation for why you're having these problems right now. You're never going to win.
Yeah. Absolutely. Let's move on to the next subject. And it's this guy.
By the way, we got a new wife for you, bro. There's a new model. She became Muslim, bro.
Oh,
There's a
yeah,
model.
bro. Did you hear about Marine?
No, I didn't.
She's
Oh,
a
bro,
model.
hang on.
She,
Hang on, bro.
she became a Muslim. I mean, it's open, right? Like, there you go.
There you
Check.
go.
There she is.
Oh man, wow.
Marine
I don't know who
Himmer.
that is. No idea. Oh, okay.
She's a French model. She accepted Islam.
Nice.
We talked about it earlier in the previous podcast that
Okay.
broke up.
But I said.
By the way, those who are listening, there's 2 parts now to the video.
Yeah, so you have to go back to the first one because unfortunately YouTube choked us. But I was going to say some of these pink-haired Muslims are pissed because how dare she put on the hijab right away? Because their journey is so difficult.
If she became a hijab, or is this because she's at the haram?
She's at the Kaaba right now, bro.
Well, yeah, she's at the haram. That's what
No, but I think in general she's wearing hijab.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, but I'm saying that it's
I'm
how
not
dare
saying
her
that-
personal journey becomes.
That
so-
personal journey is.
Are you
bullshit.
trying to say that you're better than us?
Yeah, isn't it true? Is it bullshit or not? I have proof of that. Not once, more than once, but
Yeah.
you become Muslim.
Well, I'll
they put
tell
on the
you
hijab the first day.
I'll
People
tell
who have
you-
never worn hijab, their families don't wear hijab, their mothers don't wear hijab, their sisters don't wear hijab. They're not around it. They convert and they start wearing it. There's no personal journey here. It's
But you know how you
and the devil. You can't win. That's all it is.
Do you know how you explain to them
Simple as that.
it's BS? Because if that was true, then where's the personal journey for Andrew Tate?
Where's his journey?
Right?
That is, becoming closer to God, becoming a better Muslim, that is a journey. I agree with that. I can understand that. But hijab, there's no journey for hijab. It's just straight haram halal. You're either there or you're not. There's no journey to get to, hey, I'm in hell, but I'm gonna try to get to heaven. There's no journey there. It's just a cutoff. Either you stop doing it or you don't.
So I think in a way, to be fair, right, to the argument, I don't want to sound like we're being total a-holes, right? People,
Too late
hold
for
on.
that.
No, because some...
You think that's being an a-hole?
No, because someone will be like, how dare you don't have to wear hijab? You guys don't have to do that. You don't know the looks we get. And
What are you talking about? We walk up with those big beards. Before beards were fashionable.
But now, but the thing is, look, let's be honest, right? It is a struggle, right? Some people, they iman drops and raises, right? And maybe in that moment, you're sitting, right? But this idea that, when it's my time, when I feel right, all that excuse you make for yourself, like, for example,
And that's not only the hijab, that's everything.
everything. It's not just that. I'm saying even guys, okay, I don't really feel like I can pray Jummah because, I'm just new at the job. I want to give it time when when they're ready, I'll do. So this whole argument I'm saying is nonsense because it's not about that. It's about whether you are taking the effort to say either I'm building my iman or I'm letting my iman just be stagnant. Like I'm running in circles, right? At some point, and the Quran mentioned this, يا أيها الذين آمنوا ادخلوا في السلم كافة ولا خطوات الشيطان إنه لكم عدو مبين. I think it's the ayah, right?
ولا تتبعوا خطوات الشيطان.
Yeah, this is that, right. So it says basically, O you who believe, enter Islam completely, and do not follow in the footsteps of the shaitan, because indeed he is a plain enemy to you. All right. So it's addressing this issue that, hey, listen, you had your time, you accepted. You know what's right and wrong. You've learned now. Yeah. Like, I mean, you've been in the deen for a while. You know what's haram and halal.
It's really not for a while. It's like the minute you start, right? That's it. Your accountability starts.
Of course it does. Look, how many people actually had conversations? Look, even with girls that were born Muslim, how many fathers actually sat down with their daughters instead of saying, "Hey, you have to wear hijab"? Be like, "Listen, I know this is not easy, dude." I had to have this conversation with my daughter. I was like, "Dude, in the summer, I know how you see that girls are dressing, and I know it seems like they're having a lot of fun, and they're actually feeling really fresh and everything." And I told my daughter, dude, I was like, "Look, I know this is very difficult. I'm not going to tell you it's easy.
Yes,
following Islam is not always easy, but it's the best way to get to Allah.
Yeah,
right. And you have to, bro. There's girls. If you actually if a father has a heart-to-heart conversation with their daughter about that, the daughter will cry out of love for you understanding her.
Yeah, I agree that
no matter what she has to withdraw, and we has to go through. That we have to tell our wives that too. Look, I know it's not easy on this hot summer day, but listen, man, and just keep doing it. Keep being a soldier.
Bro, I told mine, listen, if you need me to wear a thobe in the street all day to make you feel comfortable, I'll do that.
That's gangster, bro.
Like, no, I'm saying, like, because I want to make it easy for you. I understand that it's different. I don't have to wear a jilbab. I don't have to wear a hijab in public, right? I don't have to do that. And I'm sure it's a different.
But we got to walk around with them while they're wearing hijab in public.
Yeah, I mean, we're kind of getting associated with them.
That's when some pops up. Wait, we're kind of his head pops up. You know the game where the head pops up, you have to shoot it down.
Yeah.
Like, wait,
No, but the thing is, like, but I think men should do that, right, to make it easy as possible, right? Whatever we can do. And I think here's the thing. I think if a girl, a daughter knows that you have her back, and,
of course,
and she feels that, right? That confidence, it makes that wearing hijab easier.
No, especially with people of young age. A lot of times,
but a lot of fathers don't care, man. That's the problem.
That's a problem, bro.
That's the
problem. Dude, a most important person to a daughter, especially when she's growing up and she's going through puberty, is her father, bro.
Of course.
Most important person. And a lot of times they're going through that phase. Sorry to cut you off. They think that nobody understands what they're going through.
Yeah.
And if you let them know that, and you solidify that for them, and you champion them, and you let them know they're soldiers, and dude, that's
like,
all they need, bro.
I know you guys have daughters, and so I'm sure you guys think about this. Like, at the end of the day, like, the kind of man you want in front of them is how they're going to envision their husband or all that to be, right? If a man is lukewarm about his religion and they see that as something acceptable, like, oh, I grew up like that. I turned out, and every woman's going to say, I turned out okay. They're not going to say I turned out bad, right? They're going to say I turned out okay, just fine.
It's like that Oedipus complex thing, but it's pretty true. A lot of girls, the ones who have good relations with their fathers, they look towards. That's the man that they have as a role model.
Father's my inspiration, right? He's the guy I look up to. I want a guy like.
And subconsciously they do it. Right. They don't even do it consciously. It's subconsciously.
And so naturally, like, and that's why we say, don't hit your daughters, right? Because they get in the habit, the condition that in order for them to be disciplined,
don't hit your wife in front of your son. Yeah, that's more important. You get your daughter's your daughter.
Right.
Yeah, but you gotta do what you gotta do, bro.
No, but I'm saying, like, look, I really do this. I think, like, look, man, here's the thing. Like, after a certain age, like, spank or whatever, but after that, like, if a woman grows up knowing, like, if you're like 13, 14 and you're still hitting daughter, she begins to internalize that, hey, I know a man's really upset when he hits me.
Yeah.
Until he hits me, he's not really mad.
Yeah, that's true.
Right? And so you don't want to build that, because you have to be like you have to be able to because she's gonna see that, right? As a man, you're setting the tone for how her view of men are.
That when it comes to father and daughter, I noticed one thing. They don't concentrate on the relationship between. They know that I'm their father. They know that there's disciplinary actions. They know that I'm gonna give and give and give until a certain point, and then I'm gonna snap. They know that. They know, because when they deal with their mom, her snap level is a lot lower, especially when it comes to girls, right? Like, the minute they get out of line, boom, they get snapped. With me, they have time. I spoil them, let them go. All right, go ahead. You could have this. You could do this. Their moms don't do that. So it's very important that you show them how a woman is treated by treating your wife that way. How you talk to a woman. If you talk to your wife like crap all the time, that's what they're going to think is going to be acceptable.
Exactly.
And the same way, it goes the other way. If you sit there and you're like be a ghulam all day long, where you're just like, slaving under your wife's feet, then your daughter's going to grow up and she's going to be one of those people that treat their husbands, in a bad way, right? It's all at this. When you see today, like, I know we talk about this all the time, but we have friends that we always talk about whose wives are like super overbearing, and they're like, they wear the pants in the relationship type of, situation. Where do you think that comes from? That girl's parents, her mom is wearing the pants in her relationship, right? So and I have this open conversation with my daughters. Not only do I encourage the hijab and covering them up, but I also show them the other side. I'm like, do you know what men? You know, when women are looking, we're wearing this. We're all looking. You know, how does that feel? Right? They're not looking with good intentions, right? People are looking with bad. I point that out, right? People are looking with bad intentions, and then you see them getting in trouble. You see them having issues in life. I make sure that they see that as well, right? Because they should know that how women are treated. Yeah, women. When she wears a hijab and jabab, people talk to her with respect. Yeah. Right? When you're walking around naked,
they're forced to talk to her with respect.
Yeah, people are just like, oh, talk to you however you want to. It's a very big difference. I try to highlight that as much as I can too.
Speaking of which, let's go back to watching some more Marine El Himar pictures.
Himar.
Why do we gotta watch your pictures, bro?
No, she's getting down right now, bro.
أشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله.
Let me stop you right there before we say anything. I mean, tell me if I'm wrong. We have to stop this BS nonsense of highlighting these Andrew Tates or if they became Muslim. Who cares? We don't. It doesn't do anything for us as a as on a whole.
Doesn't do a little bit though.
It doesn't make me feel like, oh my God, we've achieved something.
No, not that we've achieved it, but there's a lot of like non-Muslims who look up to those people, and they see, like, for example, just the other day I was watching a live stream of another Muslim YouTuber, and a brother who follows Andrew Tate and stuff. He accepted Islam. He came on the show and live on air. He just accepted Islam.
Great.
So I think it's good to showcase sometimes not that the person who they are as a personality, but the fact that despite all of their negativity and their attacks on Islam, people who are even influential or people who think are living a perfect life, they have acknowledged that there's a weakness and a hole in their life, and Islam is satisfying that.
Yeah.
But if you want to highlight
like,
that,
look, this beautiful person became Islam. You're ugly. You should become Islam.
Exactly. Right? That's what
I know what he's
Islam
talking
only
about.
accepts beautiful women. By the way.
There we go. Yeah.
No. I know what he's saying. He's thinking about it more from a lens.
Yeah.
But the other thing is, look, plain and simple, when somebody enters the fold of Islam, we celebrate. When somebody dies not on the fold of Islam, we're not happy about that, right? And because that's a prophetic method. The other is that Rasulullah, I think we're talking about this during one of the TMM episodes, but you know, we hear this all the time, but Rasulullah actually used to make dua for influential people to become Muslim, right? And he used to go to the heads of the tribes. That was one of his responsibilities, that his preference in a phase of his da'wah was to go to the heads of the tribes, because if they did, then the whole qabila, the whole tribe would become Muslim, right? But on the level of people who have a shallow understanding of, well, look, you became Muslim, and is showcasing and thinking that it has to affect the whole world. No, that's not how we go about people becoming Muslim.
But again,
we don't care about it on that level.
Like
you're right.
Such a huge difference between the tribe leaders of a qabila back then. A tribe leader literally went one way, the whole tribe would go that way. Simple as that. These are social media stars, and the people who are following them are shallow. They're not following them because of leadership purposes. They're just following them, oh, she's beautiful. I want to look like her. Andrew Tate, he says crazy things. It's great. Let me listen to him. They're not leaders, right? When Andrew Tate becomes Muslim, all his followers didn't become Muslim. Impossible. One guy became Muslim. Great. Probably one person might be interested. Like, why did she do it? And maybe read about it. I get it. Great. But it's not the same.
Yeah.
You know, they're not leaders. We're not going to Putin and making him Muslim.
Yeah.
If Putin becomes Muslim, great.
Yeah, but even then, even if he became Muslim, my thing is like, man, I wish you had the same energy for after they become Muslim. Like on them. Like, are you that invested in them now after they become Muslim? Or is it just for that moment to you to say, aha, look, I got you, numbers are going up? Who cares about your numbers? I mean, it doesn't matter about your numbers. We care about quality over quantity. So if that person is an asset to us, that's when maybe you might want to say, okay, look how they changed it. But ultimately, this person converting to Islam is really and truly a relationship and a decision between that person and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Yeah, and for us, it's a responsibility.
Yeah, it becomes,
you're right.
That's one more person that you have to take care of now. And say, listen,
it shouldn't be just for the celebrities. This is a common thing, even when Rob was on the other day, where they get under the radar, right? They convert, they go to the masjid, they're invisible. Nobody wants to talk to them. They're not Muslim, they're not Desi, they're not Arab, they don't fit
I'd like
the
to
masjid
talk
thing.
to.
It happens all the
I
time.
know some people would like to talk to Sister Marine, right?
I think
Yeah, I like Sim's obsession for this episode.
No,
We should call
I'm
it
saying-
Sim's obsession for this episode.
I'm just saying that some people, some brothers, you know, would not, let her be on her own at the mosque. You know,
I mean-
that lady needs to get married fast.
they would.
We got too many guys who send out there.
yeah. I mean, God bless him. I mean, also like sometimes I don't know. For me, it's just like oh man, I gotta go to all the basics on teaching. It's kind of. I hope someone does that first, then become available, right? Like I want to go through all the Quran classes, everything. Then once you have all the basics down, then you can talk about maybe if a possibility, right? But imagine having to do all that time, right? It's a lot of work, right?
I do all the time. And then he's in jail. Imagine doing all
It's
that
a lot of
time, bro.
work. No, but this is what we're saying. Like a lot of Muslims, we are happy to become Muslims, but we're not willing to put the work in.
Yeah, it takes time.
Yeah.
Right? Like it's either she's I'm a nab, she's a beautiful woman. Yeah, but are you gonna make her a better Muslim?
Yeah.
Right? Are you gonna make this person a better Muslim man?
Yeah.
Right? That's the thing. Because if Islam doesn't change their life, then what good is that number?
Sorry, that was the Instagram link that you sent me.
Who sent you what?
That was the little Instagram guy, the little guy who was in the.
Oh, the guy who jumped out of
Another thing that this kind of topic brings up to is, it feel in our community, it feels like we're very self-involved. There's no outer like. Yeah, there's Dawah. There's a couple of Dawah centers. You have the Dean show. You got the Gain Peace guys. They do they do their stuff. That's all they do. It's great. But as a community, we internally built. Right? There's no external building with the community. I'm not saying go to churches and start praying with those people. That's not what we're talking about. But just being open, right? And kind of spreading the word from your community. We have DS here, you have MSI there. They're just the people from outside have no clue what's going on.
Yeah, yeah,
They just see crowds and they see crowds leaving.
Yeah.
And then they push people away, right? Like, hey, don't come to this area, whatever it is. They can't kind of they isolate themselves. And then they wonder how we're supposed to spread this deen. But we have to work on ourselves first. Give up. Give up on the guys they're already there, right? We're already Muslims, already there. We have to concentrate on the outside too. We have to start, spreading the deen. We're so focused on ourselves and we're so holding on to it. What about the rest? How about spreading this?
So, Shaq, I'm not opposed to that, but I'm saying my philosophy is we can walk and chew gum at the same time.
Yeah,
Do that and focus on the outside.
But they don't. They just internalize.
Yeah, I get
right?
that. I mean, I don't mind focusing on the self either, because I think a lot of times we have to be introspective and worry about building solid communities, because it starts with one person, one man who marries a wife, has a good family, and then from that children, and you build one house and the street, and then you build a town, and then you build a village, a town, a city, and a nation, right?
Yeah.
But you can do that and still focus on the outside at the same time.
Yeah.
Right. Let's be honest. You're not like you're not developing dedicating all this time. You have time to do it. Right. It's a matter of prioritizing. Are they a priority for you or not? Like, and if you're not. If they're not, you're not going to make time for it. If it's a priority, I mean, there's guys that get up at like 2 a.m. in the morning to watch a cricket match. It's a priority for them, right? You know what I mean? Like, they do that, right? So obviously it's a matter about prioritizing. Are these people really part of your ummah?
Yeah.
Are they really your brethren? Do you really feel that way? Like,
No, but a lot of things. Look, more. You bring up a great point, but a lot of people think that it's a lot of work, but in reality, it's not. If you have good adab and if you had good akhlaq. Look, you don't have to spend day and night or every once a week with your neighbors. It's just every time you see them, just be very nice to them, like we're supposed to, right? Because any interaction that you have, I'm just talking about neighbors. There's many examples of your society, right?
Yeah.
But if you have one good experience, your initial experience with them, and every time you meet, you're very nice, you're cordial, and you sincerely ask how they're doing, how's everything, because that's the rights they have over us as Muslims, no matter who they are, whether they're Muslims or non-Muslims, our neighbors, right? But it actually doesn't require that type of work. What they're going to say is, you know what? There's something different about this person. Not because we're just trying to show them the deen, we're trying to make them Muslim. It's just who we are, right? And when we give them that experience that, hey, we see all types of humans, but these type of humans are very different. They believe in something else. We could tell by the way they act towards us that they have a different level of principles and a different level of guidances, right? So it actually doesn't require a lot of work. And the reason why I say that is I've met many people and they're like, oh man, we're supposed to focus on the society around us too. We can't even take care of, this is where shaitan does waswas. Oh, we can't even take care of our own masjids and stuff, and we want us to take care of the whole society. No, like you said, we have to do both, bro. We take care of what's in our masjid, and when you go out, just be a Muslim with everybody, bro.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's all it is. You don't have to invest all the time or the lack of efficiency that you have in the masjid. We're not telling you to take that out to your neighbors.
No.
We're not telling you to do that. We're telling you to be good people with everybody, bro. That's it.
Park sideways on their lawn, you mean? Don't do that.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
So finally, we have
Park sideways.
But
a YouTuber by the name of TrueGeordie made fun of Islam and Muslims by. Oh, let me just let the clip play,
By
and you
Andrew
guys can
Tate,
decide yourself.
That fucking shitbag with.
Oh, so, sorry guys. Before I play this, if you have any kids around, cover their ears or put them away to bed because TrueGeordie says some.
There's a lot of cussing, lots of profanity in adult language.
Yeah, and then Andrew Tate responds with his own F-bomb. So you're warned. Stop sending me emails.
Mate, are you fighting Andrew Tate? Mate, Andrew
Tate's got God on his side now. There's no way Brian would win that.
although I would gladly blow myself up if I could take that fucking shitbag with us.
That's the use of a stereotype there, which is obviously not what he.
I'm just saying, if he really wants to prove it, do the right thing.
His host is helping him out.
It's a
Like,
stereotype.
Let's see how about that life you really are.
Yes, although not all Muslims.
They're so
Are
ignorant.
you fighting?
yeah. So clearly,
Dude, his host actually was trying to steer him away and he kept going. He didn't get the idea.
Yeah. He's an
But anyways, yeah.
so Tate responds. Here we go.
just so ignorant to think that this is what Islam is about. It's
Again,
backward
F-bombs
thinking.
galore. You're warned.
There's not many people in the world I have a personal beef with. I've had some internet beefs back and forth. There's very few people I personally dislike. One of them is TrueGeordie. Anyone who's followed me long enough understands why. He's a very insulting, fat, vulgar. He's a dickhead. He's an unlikable person. He's not very smart. He's stupid. He has a little girlfriend who sits next to him. And they did a video about me long ago where they were insulting a bunch of women who worked for me, calling them horrible names. He made full-grown women cry. I replied and said that's a horrible thing to do and he should apologize. He refused to apologize because he was full of hate. Turns out the man was full of hate because he ended up begging for dildos off of a woman. The screenshots were leaked of him begging for dildos, begging to suck on them, begging to be cheated on. He likes to be dominated by females. He sits there, fat. That's why he eats so much, to try and pretend he's bigger than he is. He sits there fat, trying to convince the world it's muscle, and that he's a tough guy. But truthfully, he begs to be dominated by females. So this person is genuinely a piece of shit. Now, after me converting to Islam, he made a piece on one of his podcasts saying that I'm not true in my conversion, and then insulted all Muslims, saying that Muslims blow themselves up, and that I should go blow myself up. We should all blow ourselves up, making fucking racist comments about an entire religion, as if that's somehow funny. Let me tell you something, my friend, and if TrueGeordie, if you're watching this is a message directly to you. There are certain times in life you need to know when to shut the fuck up. There are certain things which are not funny. Certain things are not beyond reprisal. You don't sit and insult a man's religion. Just like you don't insult a man's entire company and the people who work for him. That's one thing. But to insult my religion and the religion of billions of people across the fucking planet, making ignorant jokes about fucking blowing ourselves up, thinking that's going to go without consequence, you're going to learn very quickly, my friend. That was a mistake.
All right.
So one thing off the bat, right? I love how he finds this, this. I think this is one thing that attracted him to Islam. First of all, that Islam allows you to defend yourself that way.
Yeah, it's a no nonsense.
There's no guilty. I mean, minus the vulgarity.
Yeah,
he's
no
still learning.
nonsense.
But I'm saying the fact that we can respond this way, we're not turning the other cheek. Like, I mean, you know what I mean?
Yep.
So I think number one, he can feel more comfortable in doing this. But the fact, another key point, where he says you tell him to insult us. To blow, like you can see how he immediately.
You can tell he has a pride. He has that pride.
No, he had ghira for his
That's what I
religion.
mean, yeah.
He has some pride in it, right? And that should, number one, set aside doubt that it's just something that you're doing for whatever. I mean, obviously, if he was just doing it for money or whatever, he wouldn't really care to respond to any of this stuff, right? He wouldn't say us. He would say me, I. How dare you talk about me? But you can see he's generally thinking about, hey, how dare you insult all of us? Who do you think you are, right? And his desire to immediately respond and that ghira that you have for your religion, you can see it.
And he said, you're going to find out very soon, my friend. And we did find out very soon because...
He ended up losing a sponsor.
But not only sponsor, he had to make a big apology. He made a big apology.
Yeah, but you know what we say, that apology don't mean nothing.
Yeah, no, that's right.
Yeah. I mean, try that to say that to a Muslim in the face.
Yeah.
You know, see what happens. See who gets blown up. You know what I mean? Like, it's not something to play with. And I think Andrew knows that, right? Andrew knows that Muslims, you walk in the street in front of a Muslim, you come around a neighborhood like this and you say that to us, you're not walking out of it.
Yeah.
Right? And it's not because we're trying to say we're mean and we're all the toughest men in the world. No, but we're willing to put something on the line for that.
Yeah, we have principles.
Yeah, we're not willing. I mean, I don't care if I walk into some place and I get my butt, whatever it is. But the bottom line is that Muslims themselves take it that serious.
Yeah.
There's a line that you have, and he's making that very clear. You say that someone, don't be held, like, you can't make those comments without expecting a reaction. No matter how bad or good you think it may be, there's reactions that happen, and you're not going to like it when it happens.
Yeah, very true.
Yeah, let's play his
Okay,
apology.
I will end this because I keep rambling. But thanks again, guys, and we'll see you on the next one. Don't forget to hit that like button if you enjoyed it, and subscribe. Thanks a lot. I'll see you there.
Oh wait, so that wasn't. This was.
Knowing that is like when Lawrence's son was born.
How would he do it?
It meant a lot, you know, to me.
You may have to rewind this all day.
Yeah, I think they broke it up into clips. I'll come back to it.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, the point being is that even if he makes his apology, whatever, right? I mean, it's too late, right? I mean, you're only doing it just because you're saying these things because you're worried about your money,
Yeah.
right? Because it took someone to want to cancel you from your Gymshark thing to make this thing. If they hadn't done that, would you have made a retraction? Probably not, right? And interesting to note, he's a Conor McGregor fanboy.
Yeah.
And Conor makes the same kind of stuff. So you can say it's just joke, and Khabib says talk now.
Yeah.
Let's talk now.
Yeah.
Right? Let's talk now.
Yeah.
And
exactly.
that's what Andrew Tate telling him. Let's talk now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's kind of crazy. Now I remember the Conor McGregor connection. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Huh.
What do you think, Sim? You have a kind of half smile, half frown.
Well, I mean, on the surface, it seemed like he was trying to make a joke. He seems like he doesn't like Andrew Tate, no matter what. But I could see how, like, it wasn't really intended to be like hating towards Muslims. I think it was more towards hating on Andrew Tate using Islam. So I understand, or I could see his apology in that regard, where I couldn't find his apology, guys, and I don't want to play anything on YouTube because that could end the stream. So, but if you listen to his apology, he does seem like he regrets it. I don't know if it has to do with money. Maybe I'm just being too nice. But
yeah, you're being too nice.
Yeah.
I think it's half and half. I think people's true colors and their hidden concepts come out when their inhibitions are gone. One of the ways your inhibitions leave you is when you're angered about something, and he's angered about Andrew Tate becoming Muslim for whatever reason. That shouldn't make him angry, but it did, and it made him angry, and he was using what his preconceived notions were as ammunition about Muslims blowing themselves up, and he used it, which means he obviously had something in his mind, and that's the only thing. He could have said many things, and he only said that thing, right?
Wait, let me say this too. It's not like a man from some Bumble's town in America, right? He lives in England.
Yeah.
And there's no way that you don't know that saying something like that is offensive to a lot of people, right?
Oh, yeah.
And the fact that you would, and the principle, you have a problem with Andrew Tate, go after Andrew Tate, no problem,
Yep.
right? But to bring his religion, which I mean, is a sacred thing, because you live in the UK. You know how Muslims feel about their religion.
Yeah.
This ain't something we play with.
Yeah.
You could insult somebody's mother, but not his religion. He might let you slide. And so I think I don't think the ignorance argument plays here.
Yeah, ignorance, it doesn't play.
And not only that, sometimes you got to make an example of people.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
Yeah, dude.
Because, if you say, it's okay, you do it this time, we'll let it slide because we think you're being nice. No, we let a lot of people slide like that.
You're right.
Right? And it's been in history. You know that. But people they slide and no. And you think, let me ask you this. Do you think that the Jews would feel that way if he said something like that?
Mm-mm.
Like, if you're really Jew, well, just go and do what Hitler did you if you really want to be a Jew. I mean, would you think that they would actually say, oh, well, he really made an apology?
No way. No way.
Right? I mean, they might just take it at face value, but inside, you know where that line's been drawn now.
Oh, yeah.
Because you can get so nasty and so vicious, it's inside of you to have that opinion.
Exactly.
The very fact that you attribute all that, despite how much Muslims have done this. And I think the bigger takeaway is this. No matter how much you try to be apologetic and apologize for stuff you didn't do, it's not changing their minds.
Yeah.
They're just finding a convenient scapegoat to attack you for what you believe in. So don't go around apologizing for everything that some crazy guy does in the name of Islam. It's not your problem.
Yeah.
You didn't do that. We already made it very clear this is not Islam.
Yeah.
And the fact that there's 1.8 billion of us and 99% of us are not doing anything like this is testimony already. Don't go bending over backward. Don't dignify their bigotry with a response.
Yeah.
Bro, you're good. If
Yeah.
you want to, he's just using this as an excuse. Their problem is not with you. It's not with the religion. It's with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Yeah.
Something comes and checks them. You know what it's like? It's like, you know how the hadith comes and says that the believer is like a mirror to some. Islam is like a mirror to them. It doesn't need to say anything. You know when you stand in front of a mirror, bro, it's like the mirror doesn't talk to you. It just shows you who you are.
Yeah.
And that can make you feel insecure. And people lash out of their insecurity by doing stuff like this. They hate on things. They hate Allah for saying, well, it's not really, I know I can't really argue against it, but, you know, who's Allah anyways? Who's it? Who's Muslim? Allah, the terrorists. Look what the fruits are. They say this stuff to justify in their minds that, you know, they have to rectify with this reflection they're looking at. You see what I'm saying? Don't even bother dignifying them with an apology. What am I apologizing for? Have you apologized for anything? And this is the lesson I took from this. You think that apology means anything? No, it doesn't mean anything to me. Just like my apology about 9/11 means nothing. I didn't have nothing to do with it, right? You don't really care about my apology. I don't care about your goddamn apology. Just keep my religion out your goddamn mouth.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
That's it. That's it.
All right. Do you guys got anything else that you guys want to talk about?
No, man. MashaAllah.
Did you guys see the this is just a side thing. I didn't prep you guys about this one topic, but that one guy, the Muhammad hijab discussion with Jordan Peterson and some Christian guy. Did you guys watch that lecture?
I didn't watch that one.
I saw that.
But
it was interesting because that Christian guy who was on with him, he created this YouTube video crying about how Muhammad hijab was just proselytizing to him, preaching the Islam to him instead of having like a discussion. But since you guys didn't watch it, maybe we'll talk about it.
I saw the
next
video.
week.
I didn't see him making that video though. I saw the
Oh, you saw the whole video?
I saw the video of Muhammad hijab, Jordan Peterson.
I mean,
that
the
dude.
thumbnail you're saying. Yeah, the reason why I didn't watch it is because, look, man, I'll tell you something honestly, dude. I don't care what a Christian's going to say, right? I mean, technically speaking, we've already dismantled this religion 100 times over. Like, whatever argument he's crying about, I mean, it's nothing new. There's no argument you're going to convince me about, you know, or no good argument you're going to make against Islam, right?
No, well, no, that's not. I mean, the discussion that Jordan Peterson and Muhammad hijab had was supposed to be a setting where I think
I'm not talking about that one. I'm talking about the guest that he brought out to talk to Muhammad hijab.
Oh, you watched that?
No, but I'm saying
I saw that one.
I didn't see the thing, but I'm saying I knew what it was going to be about based on that thumbnail, right? This Christian guy was crying about it, and he wanted to have a chance to try to defend or present counter arguments to Muhammad hijab, right? And for me, like, that's just stupid. I saw the original interview, which I thought was good because Jordan Peterson's position in that was to learn and not to debate, right? He wanted to learn about Muslims. That was the intention. So he wasn't supposed to challenge the arguments. That's not how you learn about somebody, by challenging arguments, right? You first hear them out. And then I think Jordan Peterson probably thought that this guy would be better at maybe challenging some of those narratives, right? And that my point is that we've heard all they have to say. It ain't good enough, right? Yeah. And so nothing that guy's going to say is anything new. Yeah. Why am I going to waste my time? You know what I mean? Like, that's how I look at it. So that's why I didn't watch that video. And I can imagine how did it go? Did you watch the whole video?
No, I didn't watch the whole thing. It got boring after like 10 minutes of him complaining. I'm like, oh, you're just so cringe.
Jesus died for you.
It's just so like,
praise the Lord. Like, what are you going to tell me? Some man died for me 2,000 years ago. I should feel guilty about it? Nah, bro. I'm the worst person to make me feel guilty about anything. Like, it's not going to work.
Folks who are in the chat, you guys, there's a lot of you in the chat. Please go ahead and drop a like button or click the like button in the and comment in the comment section below and let us know your thoughts related to this episode. Otherwise,
peace
I don't
out.
think we have anything else.
We're good to go.
Yeah, we'll see y'all next time. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.
Simmer Elizabeth.